I'm delighted to be here today. Thank you very much for your kind invitation. So today I will talk about new cryptocurrency indices that we developed with my co-authors. And yeah, we try to make them, the abbreviation to sound quite relevant and quite maybe ironic. For example, UCRY, which represent the cryptocurrency uncertainty index. And today I also will cover the index of cryptocurrency environmental attention and the most recent one, central bank digital currency uncertainty and attention indices. So I think Walker already gave quite a good introduction for the audience of me. I just want to recap that I'm based in the University of Southampton. I'm associate professor of finance there, and also I'm a program leader of our new finance and financial technology undergraduate program. I also want to introduce some of the co-authors of the papers that today I'm going to present. And technically, all these papers are part of one larger project of development of new cryptocurrency uncertainty indices. And just we are developed a few to cover different aspects of cryptocurrency-related uncertainty. So these papers developed together with Professor Brian Lucy, Samuel Viney, and Yizhi Wang. All of them are based currently in Trinity College, Dublin, Ireland. Our data available for everyone to download from the website of cryptocurrency indices, and also we advertising the link and sharing the link on our social media platforms. Feel free to reach us on LinkedIn, on Twitter, and you can discover these links quite easily to get access to this data. So I will start with presenting UCRY Policy and Price indices that capture policy and price uncertainty of cryptocurrency markets. After I will explain index of cryptocurrency environmental attention. And finally, I will talk about the most recent CBDC indices. So I will try to explain the motivation behind each index and why we think that these indices actually can be used by academic community and also by practitioners. So which type of uncertainty they can capture in comparison to so many different uncertainty measures that currently available already. So in terms of our background and research motivation for this project in general, our first question was, how uncertain are investors about cryptocurrency and what drives this uncertainty? However, we couldn't find any specific methods, any specific index, or any technique how we can capture the uncertainty on cryptocurrency markets. And we found, all right, here is probably the clear gap in the literature and in this field, and we probably want to dive into it and try to discover how we can contribute, how we can address this research question. So here I mentioned just a few of volatility measures and uncertainty measures. I'm pretty sure our audience are very well informed about the measures that currently available, like, for example, VIX index, global EPU index, among other. However, all of these indices are generally not focus on the cryptocurrency markets per se. And we saw that it would be important to develop a measure that can capture the uncertainty specifically on cryptocurrency markets. And let me show you some of the literature, the work of our colleagues in the field who actively utilizing different uncertainty measures and volatility indices in their work. And they found that these measures potentially could be helpful to predict long-term volatility of cryptocurrency market. Of course, here I may be slightly biased in terms of the selection of the paper on this slide because all of them report that the indices of uncertainty actually have been helpful, and I have not included some studies, probably I should, that shows that the current indices cannot actually predict the behavior of cryptocurrency markets. However, I think this literature actually giving us an indicator that uncertainty and volatility. It's something that researchers are using, that actively including it, if not in the main part of their analysis, but as a control variable, as additional explanatory variable that can explain the interconnectedness patterns between different digital assets, the asset pricing, and other key processes that currently we can observe on the cryptocurrency markets. So what we think, why specific cryptocurrency indices could be needed in this field? We discovered in the literature that there could be potential clientele effect in cryptocurrency markets. Of course, we can say that cryptocurrency as a new class of investment asset will attract certain specific type of investors in general. Yeah, the investors who are potentially happy to accept high risk, high uncertainty, high ambiguity around the financial instrument. More risk-loving investors, less risk-averse investors will be interested in these digital assets in general. However, even within cryptocurrency asset class, there are so many different types of cryptocurrencies are currently available, different type of digital tokens, mineable and non-mineable currencies. We know that different new instruments being developed just recently, like non-fungible tokens, stable coins, and according to the most recent literature, these characteristics and individual characteristics of digital tokens and cryptocurrency actually important for investors, and it can attract different groups and different type of investors, which subsequently will affect the behavior of each subclass, subcategory of the cryptocurrency. Therefore, our second motivation is, of course, the speculation on the cryptocurrency market. Yeah, we can clearly see from media, from different forums, from Reddit, from Twitter, from many online platforms, that cryptocurrency would be attracted for investors with high risk appetite, really keen to potentially speculate on the market, to gamble on the market, who might not consider cryptocurrency as a long-term investment. Although such investors are also present on the market, of course, especially those who invest in Bitcoin and believing in the fundamental growth and the future of this technology and this instrument. However, lots of investors actually there to speculate, to utilize momentum, to hype on certain type of digital assets. They're monitoring social media carefully, and you know that the impact of social media recently on the cryptocurrency prices has been tremendous. It's astonishing how the announcement of one tweet of CEO of organization, for example, Tesla, can affect cryptocurrency prices. We cannot really observe such strong reaction of the market across other asset classes. Therefore, we can expect that uncertainty might have different impact on different digital asset classes, different categories, and different type of uncertainty can be more important for certain digital assets than for other digital assets. And also, of course, the information asymmetry. There is so much concern regarding the transparency, regarding information asymmetry. We know that on part of regulation of cryptocurrency market, SEC already started observing and monitoring cryptocurrency as an investment asset and trying to protect investors from getting inadequate and fraudulent information about certain cryptocurrencies, just to protect cryptocurrency users. Therefore, this form of information asymmetry that currently across the cryptocurrency markets may also affect other asset classes. So recently, for example, in the paper of Kildare et al. 2020, we discovered that cryptocurrency volatility can affect markets that are completely unrelated or have only superficial association with blockchain or with cryptocurrency technology. So the companies will try to engage and or call themselves fintech companies or change the names towards some association with cryptocurrency markets, with blockchain, without changing anything in their business model And this will affect the prices. Prices can skyrocket because investors suddenly think that this stock actually and this company currently associated with blockchain or with cryptocurrency, or it also can cause the threat to the financial stability. So there are certain risks that are there in the system, and therefore we thought that we need to capture the uncertainty on cryptocurrency markets slightly better. So we developed a new cryptocurrency uncertainty index. These are news-based indices, so they're constructed using the news coverages. So our UCRY index captures two different types of uncertainty. First type of uncertainty is cryptocurrency policy uncertainty. So everything related to the regulation uncertainty, policy uncertainty around the cryptocurrency. And UCRY Price capturing price uncertainty. So the uncertainty that can affect the financial markets, uncertainty about the future prices of cryptocurrencies, future price of Bitcoin, for example, if it's uncertain, if there are certain threats to Bitcoin price, then we can expect that this increasing uncertainty on around cryptocurrency markets overall, and therefore all other assets can be affected. We really believe that this index captured, however, uncertainty beyond Bitcoin. And of course, we can just say that Bitcoin is just one of the strongest predictors in this interconnected system, and just use Bitcoin price volatility as a predictor for all digital assets in the ecosystem. However, according to our results, if you're looking on the news articles, if you're looking on media coverages, we can identify that this methodology able to capture additional uncertainty that goes beyond just Bitcoin price volatility. So in terms of our data, we built our methodology and our index in the best tradition of Baker et al. 2016. So we got our data from LexisNexis business database, and we collected around 726.9 million news stories from this database. Yeah, so if you heard about big data approach, we can kind of consider that this paper also utilizing a big data approach when collecting a huge amount of data and trying to make sense of it. Yeah, trying to use the rational thinking to think, okay, what are the useful insights can we extract from all this information? So why we decided to focus on this specific database? Because we wanted to include not only newspapers, we don't want to focus only on some specific social media. We want to cover like as much information as possible. We wanted to cover the social element and social aspects of cryptocurrency uncertainty as well, because many things are currently happening, not only among the professional traders, professional investors, not only at the institutional level, the huge uncertainty emerging also from retail investors. And recent GameStop short squeeze that we had in the early 2020 or 2021, sorry, this year actually demonstrated the power of retail investors, the power of amateur investors. Therefore, this information should be also captured. So in terms of their lexicon that we used, in terms of the methodology, our particular search terms, we tried to gather as much data as possible, as many news stories as possible, using the words uncertainty, uncertain, in combination with several alternatives. For example, Bitcoin, Ethereum, Ripple, Litecoin, Tether. We selected this as the most commonly used, most popular cryptocurrencies being discussed in the media, in the official and social media as well, and such generic words like cryptocurrency or cryptocurrencies or other combination of those. And to capture policy issues, we also included in our searching criteria that the words regulator, regulators, central bank, government should be included in this specific news story in order to be included in our site. example. For the price and uncertainty, it's very similar search. However, we are not using any regulatory words, any government regulation. Yeah, so this would not appear in the second search string. And after we tried to remove as much duplicates as possible to clear the data, yeah, and to remove this double counting for as much as possible as well. So let's have a look on the news trends. That's what we identify. So the first, what we can see, just simply a dynamics of the policy news and price news. Yeah, and in comparison to overall news that we extracted from LexisNexis business, we can see that the policy news, obviously, it was less quantity of news stories regarding the regulatory changes, regarding uncertainty around regulation. However, in terms of the price, you can see that the number of news stories and the data available for price to capture price uncertainty, of course, was dominant in this data collection process. So how the index been constructed for UCRY policy? Yeah, we constructed cryptocurrency policy uncertainty index. So this index is available on weekly frequencies. Yeah, and as I explained, you can download this data. You also can read the full paper just on all methodological detail, how we constructed it exactly. Why I received lots of requests to make this index available also for daily frequencies, because researchers apparently understandably utilizing daily data for research much more often. However, daily data doesn't give us this sufficient volatility that we can observe if we are combining it on weekly data. Considering the stories and articles, therefore quality of weekly data of these indices, it's more informative, it's more useful considering to the test that we conducted. Therefore, for now, these indices will be available only on weekly frequencies. Yes, so we are taking the articles that captured the policy uncertainties received from LexisNexis business database. We are taking the standard deviation of the weekly observed value of the cryptocurrency policy uncertainty news, yeah, and constructing this index that can capture, yeah, how intensively these topics being discussed in the media. Right? Cryptocurrency price uncertainty constructed for exactly same methodology, again in traditional Baker et al. And the difference is that, of course, we are using only stories that discussing the future price of cryptocurrencies. Yeah, we are not including any stories that discussing any regulatory changes, regulatory reforms, etc. Okay. What also we did in these papers, what is particularly could be quite interesting for the audience, that we try to provide a historical decomposition of these indices, and we included in our system some common uncertainty indices like WIGS, Global APU Index. We also included price of Bitcoin and prices of gold, and try to demonstrate how actually in terms of the historical decomposition or these the interrelationship between these variables progress throughout our observation period. So we collected the data from 2014 to 2021. Yeah, therefore it provides us for quite a good intense period of time when we can observe the large number of events in the cryptocurrency space. So we included in terms of the critical events in our system, of course, we try to be as comprehensive as possible. We included different attacks on Bitcoin exchanges, on cryptocurrency exchanges. Yeah, we tried to include different key events in regulatory space as well, just to show whether our index actually changing and capturing this type of uncertainty and showing the sufficient variability around these key events. And also just a general events in crypto area, like for example, ICO boom, DeFi takeoff, and these key events that should not be missed, not only by professional traders who are investing in cryptocurrencies, but also by general public, by media, by wider audience. And what we showed that actually, yes, there is additional variability. It would be response from media, it will be response from investors, and additional discussion around all these key events, and it would affect the variability of other prices of assets that are connected with Bitcoin and that are connected with cryptocurrencies. So how to use this data? Yeah, you can download the data on this slide. As I explained that if you want to see some daily data, please let me know. However, we highly recommend for now to use weekly data for these indices. So in terms of the theory development, I think these indices could be good help for development of additional theories, specifically on ambiguity and uncertainty in cryptocurrency markets, and also potentially can explain the abnormal returns on cryptocurrency markets. Yeah, because we can formulate several hypotheses and several theoretical hypotheses why and how information is actually emerged on the cryptocurrency markets, how it's being disseminated through various media channels, and how in return it's affecting the investors' perceptions, investors' attitude, and how investors react. Yeah, how they're reacting by making their buying or selling decisions, and how it's reflecting in returns of the cryptocurrencies. Because while we have lots of financial theories and traditional neoclassical theories in finance, unfortunately, none of these fully applicable for cryptocurrency. They cannot really explain the phenomenon and this astonishing price growth of many assets. For example, how we can use neoclassical finance theories to understand why NFTs have been sold for several million of dollars, and these art objects. Yeah, so definitely here we need some sort of new theory development in this field. Of course, it can be used for applied research, applied finance, applied economics, and yeah, just as additional robustness test or additional control variable. And of course, in corporate finance field, also just to analyze crypto exuberance, yeah, information asymmetry, investor money, and just the general impact of media sentiments on different corporate performance of the companies as well. So now I'm moving to the second index. Please keep posting your questions in the chat about UCRY. If you have any questions about methodology, about data, yeah, or any question you might have. And I would like to explain you the motivation behind our second index of cryptocurrency environmental attention that constructs a very similar principle as UCRY. However, it's been motivated by entirely different reason. So what we discovered, again, by working in this area, that it's only very limited research is available on the extent determinants of cryptocurrency growing energy consumption. And this problem has not been widely researched in academic literature. So there are more and more papers obviously getting available, and especially during 2021, that covering environmental aspects of proof of work, consensus mechanism of blockchain, of all mineable currencies. Specifically, these papers often focus on Bitcoin as the most popular one. I would describe it like this, the most influential one. However, there is no consistent conclusion in the literature, well, how to make Bitcoin more sustainable. There is no consistent conclusion in the literature whether it's possible at all, yeah, whether cryptocurrency markets in general in the future can become more sustainable, what should be done for it, how the green energy and sustainable energy sources can change the environmental impacts of cryptocurrencies, and adoption of blockchain technologies, but companies and fintech companies, etc. So in terms of to give you additional background, if you are not familiar about environmental problem of Bitcoin and blockchain. I can give you very quick introduction to it. So as you know that for new coins to be created, investors and so-called Bitcoin miners, they are competing with each other in the process of solving very complex cryptographic hash puzzles. And this process is very energy consuming. It's getting harder and harder to create a new Bitcoin. It's getting harder to solve this puzzle, and therefore the mining difficulty and energy consumption of Bitcoin is just tend to increase with the time. So if before you can probably create in the very beginning a new Bitcoin just sitting in the comfort of your home, using your laptop, your computer, and create a new Bitcoin. Nowadays, it will not be possible. Nowadays, to create and to mine and to create new Bitcoin, you would have to join the mining pool, accumulate a huge amount of computer power, and of course it makes Bitcoin, regardless all the ideas of decentralization, of liberty, all this utopical idea of eliminating of Big Brother, it's making inaccessible for the small investor, for user to mine and to create new Bitcoin yourself. It's getting very challenging, and therefore another question, whether we should use this electricity, whether it's a reasonable amount of electricity, because miners paying for this electricity themselves, of course. Therefore they can justify that any other industry needs electricity, it needs energy. Therefore, if you paid for this energy, why not to use it to mine Bitcoin, especially if they believe that Bitcoin is a future currency. So the problem of blockchain in general relies in this trilemma. It is impossible at most to have two out of these three characteristics: decentralization, scalability or efficiency, and security. So Bitcoin, Ethereum, and other cryptocurrencies that based on proof of work consensus mechanism, they sacrificing and giving up scalability and efficiency to maintain the high degree of decentralization and security. Yes, Bitcoin transactions are very secure. It's security, and it's security guaranteed by this high energy consumption. The problem is, however, the lack of scalability of the network, creating quite strong environmental impacts, and not only in total, but per transaction. So, for example, Bitcoin network will be able to reach just 7 transactions per second in comparison to Visa, that can potentially handle 65,000 transactions per second if needed. Therefore, we're here talking not only about overall consumption of energy of the huge multi-trillion industry, but we are talking specifically about carbon footprint per transaction. If we cannot scale this network to the global level to ensure that we're using Bitcoin in the same way how we're using Visa, probably for now it's very hard to make sense how we can justify its high carbon footprint. Okay, if you want to learn more about it, I just would like to direct you for the website that probably you already seen before, you came across before, like Digiconomist and Bitcoin Energy Consumption Index. And also they recently published another research of growing e-waste problem. So these mining pools who are using a huge amount of computer power, they also have to replace these computers quite frequently, to put it simple, and therefore the industry overall produced quite a large amount of electronic waste that ended up in landfill. Therefore, you can read more about it. Just a few graphs here. You can clearly see that Bitcoin energy consumption is increasing, and these being inbuilt in Bitcoin mechanism. It's meant to be. We need to maintain the security, and we cannot guarantee this security without actually using energy. It would not be possible due to their technology itself. Yeah, so it's not surprising that currently we can see that Bitcoin energy consumption been growing, and for the last 3 years, 4 years, with increase of Bitcoin price, with increase of attention to this instrument, with additional miners entering the area, yeah, energy consumption is increasing. So in terms of the carbon footprint, the total carbon footprint equals to Nigeria. Electrical energy using comparable to Thailand currently on the time of this presentation, and electronic waste comparable to the small IT equipment waste of the Netherlands. And the data that particularly interesting, as I explained, it's not only overall carbon footprint of the industry, because like this we can compare several industries and can say, oh, this industry consuming huge amount of electricity as well, but it's a Bitcoin transaction footprint, yeah, footprint of a single transaction, that equivalent of carbon footprint of 2 million Visa transaction, yeah, for one Bitcoin transaction, or it consumes similar amount of power that's sufficient to feed US household for 66 days. Yes, it's quite astonishing statistics. And therefore we thought, all right, but whether actually investors care about it, whether actually public care about this carbon footprint, because Bitcoin price is only going up. Yeah, everyone talking about climate change, everyone talking about carbon footprints. We just had this COP recently, yeah, in Scotland. But whether it's actually reflected somehow in the data, whether investors cares about it, whether media cares about it. Therefore, we decided to follow our tradition of these cryptocurrency indices and to construct the index of cryptocurrency environmental attention. So what we found that actually index of cryptocurrency environmental attention also very sensitive to all key events in cryptocurrency area. So to put it simply, as soon as any measure used in cryptocurrency markets or anything happening in cryptocurrency markets, any scandal, any attack on cryptocurrency exchange, new regulatory announcements of like China ban, or like today we had the announcements coming from India that also they're considering to ban cryptocurrencies there. Of course, in parallel, stories about environmental impact of cryptocurrency and Bitcoin increasing. Yeah, so if something happening in cryptocurrency, it's as a critique, as additional factor, we also can see that attention to environmental problems increasing. So in terms of the index of cryptocurrency environmental attention, yeah, we also built in the same tradition. So I think I'm not going to go too specific in terms of methodology, although I try to focus more on the meaning of it and on the insights and how we can use it. So which search term we used for this? We focus on cryptocurrency, on Bitcoin, Ethereum, and several alternative searches that should be together with the names of Bitcoin, Ethereum, or cryptocurrency. Energy consumption, energy footprint, climate change, carbon footprint, environmental, and other variations. Yeah, to try to capture all the news stories that considered environmental impacts and energy consumption of Bitcoin. What we can see in terms of the dynamics that attention to environmental problems actually was very, very low till the point in time when we experienced the first so-called Bitcoin bubble. Yeah, when Bitcoin price for the first time reached $20,000. I think it was December 2017. Correct me if I'm wrong. So before that, not many news stories at all ever considered inefficiency of cryptocurrencies, the inefficiency and the potential energy consumption. So it was very, very low amount of news stories. And what we can observe recently, strong spike in attention to environmental problems. So what does it mean? It means that even if you personally or your organization not really focus on the climate concern, so don't care about climate concern, yeah, if I can use these strong words, you cannot ignore it because people start caring about it, investors start talking about it, media start talking about it. Therefore, if you're a wise miner, if you're considering yourself to be in this industry for the next 10-15 years, of course you need to respond to this environmental pressure in some way, either to start exploring renewable sources of energy, purchasing carbon credits. There are other options to overcome in high energy consumptions, but definitely we can show that you cannot ignore it. And also similar in the same way, we also provided a detailed historical decomposition and showed how the variability of the index around the key event. And again, data is showing the overwhelming evidence of the increased trends towards attention to environmental problems of Bitcoin and other cryptocurrencies. So the common perception, this awareness is high and growing. However, our data demonstrated that it's only recently become a trend. Yeah, and we recently experienced a huge increase in attention to environmental problems. Of course, this attention spiked by actions of the large institutional players, not by individual investors. Of course, attentions from Elon Musk, for example, who decided not to use Bitcoin, not to longer accept Bitcoin because of the environmental concerns. Of course, these events are key to increase awareness of environmental concerns. And I think these key players and key announcements could potentially explain why we are seeing these dynamics in terms of the news coverage of environmental issues. However, this area is still completely unregulated. So we don't have any sophisticated high-level policy regulation that can basically try to control or moderate the consumption and energy consumption of blockchain, Bitcoin, and other cryptocurrencies. And we also provided similar comments to this Financial Times article, Bitcoin, growing energy problem, it's a dirty currency. Yeah, if you want to read a little bit more about this topic. And last but not the least, our cryptocurrency, central bank digital currency, uncertainty and attention indices. I'm pretty sure all of you and everyone who are interested in cryptocurrency read some news about the ideas of central bank to introduce their own cryptocurrency. There have been some successful and less successful attempts, even, in Latin America. We know that some governments simply want to make a Bitcoin a legal tender, like in El Salvador. We know that some governments discussing making a stable coins official currency and circulate it alongside their fiat currencies. However, the majority of governments actually talking about CBDCs now. And even opening the call for consultations. I'm pretty sure if there are academics here in this audience, you also received some of the calls for consultations. What's your opinion on CBDC? What and how this new financial instrument should look like, whether it should be a decentralized, centralized, which algorithm to use which platform to use, which underlying algorithm to use, which blockchain to use. So it should be completely new thing. Therefore, we believe that the uncertainty that's been around the discussion of introduction of CBDC already been affecting Bitcoin prices and prices of other digital assets. Yeah, even if central bank digital currency not yet been officially introduced. So market already anticipate that it can happen in the future. Market already reacting on the news and stories around CBDC. And therefore, I think these two indices of uncertainty and of attention can help to track these trends and variations of central bank digital currency discussions. Therefore, for those who are researching this field, I think these indices also can provide quite useful results. So similar methodology used, slightly less number of news stories being collected for this because it's been less stories, I guess. That's why we collected less data for CBDC indices. And what interesting thing, what we did here with this specific index, we also decided to go slightly further. So we translated our search terms, for example, to French, to German, to Russian, to Chinese, to capture the specific discussion of CBDC. Because the fact that, for example, there is not much discussion of CBDC in China in English doesn't mean that there are actually no discussions at all. And similar for countries like Russia. Yeah, that will be translated and use alternative search term like in Russian цифровой рубль, crypto ruble, etc. Yeah, so here you can see that we decided to go slightly further in terms of international coverage and considering the nature of it. So what we can see, and we link this index in this specific case, not just with generic events in cryptocurrency space, because it didn't really match in with just capturing general uncertainty. Therefore, we tried to explain the variability of this index by looking on events specifically related to different policy announcements and CBDC announcements and related discussions here. And we also can find quite a strong areas that confirming that, all right, this uncertainty and these discussions in the media actually, can be explained using the common sense and common understanding of what actually happening in the industry, and how this would affect our exchange rates, how it will affect overall uncertainty, overall volatility indices, how it will affect specifically MSCI World Bank Index, etc. So we try to control whether in this variable system, attention and uncertainty around central bank digital currency can provide some meaningful results. And yes, it does. I can show you, there are lots of graphs, guys. Sorry, no, I'm not sure how visible all of it, but yes, like events like Facebook's Libra, Chinese, the CBDC and discussion around it caused a strong spike and made our index more influential in this system. So the degree of connectedness between different digital assets and variables in our system increased in response to the key events and news around CBDC. Yeah, so more attention, more news stories there, and if it's actually underpinned around and backed up by certain event in this area, we can see that the predictive power of these indices is increasing. All right, so I think you have 5 minutes left or so. Some insights, yeah, how we can use again it. Some insights, what are their outcomes, what are the takeaways? What we found that both CBDC indices have significant negative relationship with volatility of MSCI World Bank Index, with US CPU Index and FTSE All World Index. So we found this significant negative relationship, yeah, with banking sector, yeah, and with equities. So I think this is quite an interesting result, and for investors, for those who are looking to diversify the portfolio, who are holding potentially already very large portfolio of assets, they also can, we can confirm that all the discussions and attention around CBDC, yeah, will affect prices of completely other asset classes. So this is important outcome. We also found significant positive relationship with volatility of UCRY indices that we constructed, and environmental attention, and of course Bitcoin. Yeah, so we definitely found the strong linkages between discussions around CBDC and Bitcoin prices, and also all the exchange rates demonstrated sensitivity to this index. For example, we use the impulse response function, we use GARCH model, we use the parallel of different common techniques, econometric techniques. Feel free to refer to the paper to see more insights in terms of methodology and which specific test we use. In terms of the volatilities, so the volatilities of financial variables are more sensitive generally to index of uncertainty rather than to just generic attention. So uncertainty around CBDC is more powerful than just unrelated discussion or when banks want to introduce something. If there is some discussion about uncertainty and why it is uncertain, then this would be much more powerful rather than generic, I don't know, hype about CBDC indices and attention to it. All right. I think I will open floor for your questions. So I will stop sharing the slide. I can send you my slides and to everyone who may need it. And here are all the papers on the SSRN that are available for you if you want to gather any insights about these indices and have a closer look on our results. Thank you very much.